One of very few men outside of my dad has greatly impacted my life. Dr. Steve Green. He had this thing that he did. He'd walk into any room, look at you, and see what was possible in you before you saw it in yourself. It didn't matter what the challenge was. It didn't matter how far-fetched it seemed. He'd look at you and say, "You can do this." The first time he said this to me, I had no business going after what he was pointing at. In my own mind, there was no way. But the moment he believed, I bought into his belief. That's all it took. One person seeing something in me that I couldn't see yet. The rest of our relationship was a series of those conversations, and so much was built because of them. He's no longer with us, but the way I live my life, love my wife, raise my kids, the way I lead, all of it carries something he gave me. I think about Dr. Green every time I think about what it means to leave something behind, because the things he built, he didn't build them in a gym or a boardroom or a stage. He built them in people. And through those people, he's still building. That's the principle that this final episode of the Mamba series is all about. Investment in others, and why it's one that outlasts everything else. Kobe Bryant understood something about legacy that many people don't figure out until it's too late. He was 17 when he came into the league, a kid. And from the beginning, he was surrounded by people who poured into him. Jerry West, who believed in him before most of the NBA did. Phil Jackson, who challenged him to become more than just a scorer. Michael Jordan, who picked up the phone when Kobe was calling at 2 a.m., asking about footwork and everything else, and eventually said, "You can do this." Kobe received all of that. He took everything given to him and used it. And then quietly, but intentionally, he started giving it back. Late in his playing career, he began taking on a mentor role for younger players. Kawhi Leonard built his entire shooting form on Kobe's template. His elbow placement, the way he got under the ball. Jason Tatum, Devin Booker, Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis. He worked with them in off seasons, challenged them, gave them his time and his attention the way that his mentors had given him theirs. Novak Djokovic, one of the greatest tennis players who ever lived, said that Kobe was one of his mentors. That when Djokovic was going through injury and struggling mentally, Kobe was there. A basketball player showing up for a tennis player. It's just beautiful because it really doesn't matter what sport you play. It's at a human level. He understood that what began in him, what had been given to him, wasn't his to keep. After he retired, something happened to Kobe that surprised the people who knew him. They would say things like he got lighter. Tracy McGrady, who had been a close friend for years, said that we watched how he transformed once he stopped playing basketball. How much more personable he was, how he smiled more, the lightness he carried, how other things came into his life. Those other things were people, stories, children. He won an Academy Award for Dear Basketball, a short animated film about his love for the game, built from a letter he wrote when he retired. He founded Granity Studios and started making films, TV shows, books, podcasts. He wrote the Wisnard series, sports fantasy books for children about character and growth and becoming. He launched a podcast called The Punies about a group of neighborhood kids figuring out who they were through sport. He was building things designed to reach people he'd never meet. Children who would grow up with his stories in them the way that players grew up with his footwork in them. Kobe Bryant, at 41, was just getting started on what I believe to be some of the most important work of his life. Then there was Gianna. She came to basketball late. Kobe never pushed her towards the game. He had 4 daughters, and he was genuinely fine with whatever they wanted. Then she picked up a ball, and he said later that it was like painting on a blank canvas. He started teaching her the footwork that had taken him 20 years to develop. The fadeaway, the up and under, the spin moves, the balance, all of it compressed into lessons for an 11-year-old who absorbed everything he gave her. By 13, she was already sharp, already deep, and college coaches were calling. The WNBA commissioner said that she represented the next generation of stars in the league. Fans would come up to Kobe and tell him that he needed a son to carry on the legacy. Gianna would be standing right there, and she'd look and say, "I got this." And he'd say, "That's right. Yes, you do." In December 2019, someone caught them on video sitting courtside, and they were deep in conversation about plays, about footwork and strategy, completely absorbed. The image went everywhere because you could see it. The intensity, the obsession, the same way he had always watched film, mapped opponents, and cared about every detail. All of it now alive in his daughter. He christened her Mambacita, and she was carrying it forward. On January 25th, 2020, the night before he died, Kobe posted on Instagram. LeBron James had just passed him on the all-time NBA scoring list, and Kobe, who had competed against LeBron for 2 decades, who watched him chase record after record, did nothing but celebrate him. The caption on his post said, "On to number 2 at King James. Keep growing the game and charting the path for the next. Respect, my brother." That was his last public act. The next morning, he and Gianna boarded a helicopter headed to Mamba Sports Academy in Thousand Oaks. She was going to play, he was going to coach, but they never made it. And I wish that she had gotten more time, that he had gotten more time, because I truly believe that they were just both getting started. In the years since, across every tribute, across every memorial, every conversation about what Kobe meant, the thing people keep coming back to isn't just the championships or the records or the 81-point game. It's also him on the sidelines coaching Gianna. It's the 2 a.m. phone calls to Jordan. It's the books for children. It's the last Instagram post celebrating someone else. It's the giving. Dr. Green invested in me and so many others the way Kobe invested in everyone around him in those final years. He walked into rooms and saw what was possible in people. He said, "You can do this," before you believed it yourself. And once he said it, you believed it. Most people wait until you've proven something before they invest. He invested first. And what got built because of that, in me, in the people that I've watched him do the same thing for, is more than any of us would have ever reached alone. When he was gone, I realized the things he gave me weren't just helpful in those moments. They became structural, a part of how I think, how I lead, how I parent, how I show up for my wife and my boys, how I show up for the people that I have the privilege of leading. You can't see his fingerprints directly, but they're everywhere. There's a question that this episode is really asking, and I want you to sit with it and answer it honestly. Who are you building? Who is the person in your life that is going to carry something forward that you gave them? Who are you showing up for the way Kobe showed up for Gianna, for Kawhi, for Tatum, for Djokovic, the way Dr. Green showed up for me, the way someone probably showed up for you at some point, someone whose fingerprints you can still feel on who you are today. Because all throughout this series, we looked at so many things: the obsession, the focus, the fearlessness, the details, the competitiveness, the adaptability, the resilience. All of it means something in your lifetime. But what you pour into other people means something long after the championships expire, after the records get broken. The business you built will eventually become something unrecognizable. The work you do with another person, on another person, keeps going through them, through who they become, through who they raise and lead and pour into and say, you can do this, till long after you're gone. This is the last episode of the Mamba Mentality series. We looked at one man's life as a case study in what it looks like to operate at the highest level and what any of us can take from it. From the obsession in the dark, the tunnel, the air balls, the details nobody saw, the competitive fire that never switched off, the second version that he built before the first one expired, the decision to go through when stopping made complete sense. Then this, the giving, the investment, the decision to take everything you've built and pour it into someone else. Kobe Bryant's last Instagram post was celebrating someone else's achievement. His last morning was on the way to coach his daughter. His books are still being read. His films are still being watched. His footwork is in Kawhi's jump shot and Tatum's pull-up, and every young player who ever watched him and decided, that's how I want to play. He's everywhere, in everyone he ever poured into. We live in a world that measures legacy in things. The companies you build, the money you make, the followers you have, the titles you carry, and those things aren't nothing. I'm not going to pretend that they don't matter, but none of them are the real thing. The real thing is people, the person who is different because you showed up for them, the one who went after something they had no business going after because you looked at them, you looked them in the eye, and you said, you can do this. The kid who's going to do something remarkable one day and trace it back to a conversation that you had with them when they were just figuring out who they were. That's the legacy worth building. The one that lives in people. The one that keeps going long after everything else you've built has been forgotten, replaced, or sold. I'll end with this. The same question Dr. Green's life left me with, the same one Kobe's life leaves all of us with. Who are you building? Go be a Dr. Green for someone. Go be what Kobe was for Gianna, for Kawhi, for the kid at the Mamba Academy who needed someone to believe in them first. Pour into people. Invest in them before they've proven anything. Show up for them the way someone showed up for you. Because the most important thing you will ever do isn't something you do for yourself. It's what you put into someone else that keeps going when you're gone. That's legacy. Go build one. I am trying to build a life that builds more than entities, but that builds people. And I hope that you will too. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one.